Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise, get straight to the core insights. Today, we're diving deep into some pretty heavy ancient wisdom. We're looking at the book of Job, specifically Job chapter 27. Our mission, like always, is to unpack what's really going on here, pull out maybe some surprising facts, and definitely find those practical lessons for, how we live today. We want this to be a shortcut for you, our listener, to get hold of Job's powerful ideas about integrity, about the fate of the wicked, and really use that ancient truth to strengthen your own spiritual grounding right now.
Yeah. And Job 27 is, well, it's quite a passage. It's thousands of years old, obviously, but it feels surprisingly modern in some ways. It hits on these really timeless themes, doesn't it? Human nature, what justice looks like, maybe divine justice, and how you hold on to what's right when everything seems to be falling apart around you. It's definitely not simple answers.
That's a great way to put it. So let's jump straight in. Job makes this incredible declaration. And we have to remember the context, right?
Right.
This guy has lost absolutely everything. Wealth, kids, health, gone. And then his friends show up, supposedly to comfort him, but they just accuse him. They're saying, Job, you must have sinned to deserve this.
Right. The pressure is immense. Not just the suffering itself, but the accusation, the judgment from people he trusted.
Exactly. And despite all that pain, all that pressure, Job doesn't just hold firm. He actually doubles down. He insists on his innocence, his commitment to integrity. And this is Job 27, verses 5 and 6. Till I die, I will not remove mine integrity from me. My righteousness I hold fast and will not let it go.
Wow.
It's incredibly strong language, isn't it? And look how he prefaces it. He says, as God liveth and with the Spirit of God in my nostrils. This isn't just him saying, hey, I'm a good guy. It's like a solemn oath before God.
Like a covenant.
Almost, yeah. He's basically swearing, as long as I breathe God's air, I won't lie. I won't speak wickedness. And I definitely won't agree with you guys and say I deserve this when I know I didn't. It shows this deep internal, resolve. It's not just having integrity. It's like integrity is woven into the fabric of who he is.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What does that really mean for us? I mean, in a world where, let's be honest, it's often tempting to compromise, right? To maybe bend the truth a little or just go along to get along, especially when you're under pressure.
Yeah.
What's Job's stance telling us?
Well, I think it tells us that integrity isn't situational. It's not just about what you do when things are easy. It's about who you are at your absolute core. It's that internal compass. Job shows us it's supposed to be non-negotiable for a spiritually grounded life. It's the anchor.
An anchor.
Yeah.
I like that. Even when the storm is raging.
Especially when the storm is raging. That's when you need it most, right? When everything else feels unjust or is falling apart, it keeps you tethered to God's ways, even if following those ways seems to bring, suffering or misunderstanding in the short term. It kind of redefines success.
That's a really powerful point. Integrity is an anchor, not just a rule book.
Okay, so then Job shifts gears, and this is where it gets really interesting, I think. After making this huge stand about his own righteousness, he looks outwards. What does he say about the wicked, those who maybe seem to get ahead by cutting corners?
Yeah, he paints this really vivid picture, and honestly, it's pretty stark. He calls their hope the hope of the hypocrite. And he says it's fleeting. It vanishes when God taketh away his soul. Poof, gone.
So it's an illusion.
Completely. He says God won't hear their cry when trouble hits them. Which makes sense, right, if the relationship wasn't real to begin with. And they won't find real delight or refuge in God either. And their wealth, all that silver they heaped up, the fancy clothes. Job says it's ultimately for the just and the innocent to inherit. Wait, so it's not just that they lose it, but God redirects it.
That's the implication. It's like the universe or God's justice eventually repurposes ill-gotten gains for good. It's quite a thought. And their homes. He compares them to a moth's cocoon or like a temporary little hut a guard might build in a field. Super flimsy. No real security there.
No lasting foundation.
None. And it gets darker. Their kids face the sword, hunger. Those left are buried without anyone really mourning them, which was a huge deal, a sign of disgrace back then. He describes them being swept away by terrors, tempests, storms, basically God actively casting them out without mercy. And then the final image, people will clap their hands at him, hiss him out of his place. Public humiliation.
Wow. That's intense.
It really is. And what's fascinating, I think, is that Job is saying all this from his own ash heap, right? From his own suffering. Even in his pain, he still holds on to this deep belief in cosmic justice, a fundamental balance. Even if he can't see it playing out perfectly right then and there, he trusts the bigger picture.
That's maybe the hardest part, isn't it? Holding on to that trust when, life looks really unfair. We see people who seem to do wrong things and they just prosper,
Yeah.
and good people suffer. How does Job's ancient perspective help us deal with that tension today? What's the practical takeaway?
Okay, yeah, let's bring it home. I think there are a few key things Job 27 gives us for right now. First, it hammers home that integrity has eternal value. Jobs till I die. Declaration. That's rooted in this ancient Hebrew idea that righteousness is everything. It's the foundation. It's worth more than wealth, status, comfort, anything the world offers. It aligns you with something permanent.
So it's not just about being honest, but staying honest when it costs you.
Exactly. When it costs you everything, potentially. That's the real test. Second, it really underlines that the prosperity of the wicked is illusory. It might look shiny. It might look successful on the surface.
Especially on social media these days.
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to get fooled. But Job says it's like a moth's house. Temporary, fragile, it won't last. Ancient wisdom always draws this line between, the quick flash in the pan success and real lasting justice or value.
Like a meteor versus a star you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, that kind of thing. One burns bright and fast, the other endures. And that leads to the third point. God is the ultimate arbiter of justice. Job gets it. He knows things don't always look fair from our limited viewpoint. Bad things happen to good people. Good things seem to happen for bad people sometimes. But he trusts that God sees the whole picture and eventually balances the scales in his time.
Okay, that requires patience. A
Yeah.
lot of patience.
It does. And faith. It shifts our focus from demanding instant fairness to trusting God's ultimate sovereignty. Knowing the final verdict isn't written by us or by, public opinion. It's written by God.
That's huge. So let's get really practical. How can embracing these ideas actually encourage us to be more obedient, to strengthen our faith, especially with all the pressures we face today?
Right. Well, first, cling to your integrity, especially when things get tough. In a world that often rewards the shortcut, or where maybe being honest gets you canceled or attacked, Job is this stark reminder. Integrity isn't optional. It's not situational. It's your spiritual anchor. When everything feels unfair, when speaking truth has a cost, holding onto your integrity keeps you aligned with God. That builds real depth faith because it's rooted in God's character, not in getting applause.
So it's about that inner resolve, even more than the outward action itself.
Yes, exactly. Second practical takeaway. Don't envy the wicked. Seriously. It is so easy, like you said with social media, to see these curated lives, this apparent success that maybe isn't built on solid ground. Job tells us to look past the surface. Real, lasting peace, a legacy that matters, genuine spiritual connection that comes from righteousness, not from chasing fleeting fame or fortune built on shaky ground. That strengthens faith because you stop comparing your path to theirs and focus on what truly lasts according to God's economy. It motivates obedience towards what has real value.
That's a much healthier way to look at things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Avoid the comparison trap.
Absolutely. Third, and this is so important, it's okay to be honest about your pain without ditching your faith. Look at Job. He's raw, he's honest, he questions God, he laments deeply. But he doesn't abandon his core integrity or his belief in God even when he's arguing with God. This shows us that honesty, even painful honesty, even lament, isn't rebellion. It can be part of a real, faithful relationship with God. It actually builds stronger faith because you can bring your whole self, your doubts and pain included, to God without having to pretend.
That's incredibly freeing. You don't have to wear a mask with God.
Right. And finally, live for the long haul, not just the instant gratification. Job clearly contrasts the temporary flash of the unrighteous with the enduring worth of a life lived with integrity. It's a call to align our choices, our actions, our energy with eternal values, not just what feels good or looks successful right now. That kind of obedience, rooted in a long-term trust in God's plan and justice, is powerful. It reminds us that our story isn't finished yet. God gets the final say.
Wow. Just incredible how relevant these ancient words still feel. They really do speak directly to our daily walk, don't they? That core message. Integrity matters eternally. Ill-gotten gains are temporary. And God's justice, while maybe not always immediate, is ultimate. It's a real challenge to live with that kind of trust and patience.
It is. It requires constantly recalibrating our perspective away from the world's definition of success towards God's.
So as you go about your day, thinking about Job and his incredible stand, here's something to reflect on. Is there an area in your life right now where you feel tempted? Tempted to compromise your integrity, maybe for convenience or to gain approval or just to make things easier? What would it really look like in that specific situation for you to echo Job's words? Till I die, I will not remove mine integrity from me.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Super Sale and get 40% off paints and stains September 19th through the 24th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.